It's a Sunday dinner with your family, or maybe a corporate event with your coworkers. Then out of nowhere, that one person, you know exactly who I'm talking about, decides to make a comment about you in front of everyone. Maybe they make a sharp comment about your weight. Maybe it's a passive-aggressive jab about your job, your relationship status, or a mistake you made months ago, and the room goes quiet for a split second. Then, everyone's looking at you. In that exact moment, something happens to you. Your body freezes, a wave of heat rushes to your face, and a tight tension takes over your head. So what do? You do what most people do. You laugh it off, say something you didn't even remember, and pretend it didn't hurt, praying the conversation moves on. But inside, you just want to go home and cry yourself to sleep. Here's the brutal truth we need to address right now. When someone humiliates you in front of a group, the entire room stops and watches how you respond. Your reaction isn't just a message to the toxic person. It's a message to everyone at that table. It tells them exactly how much you respect yourself, and it tells them how they will treat you in the future. But before I give you the 5 psychological responses to when someone is trying to humiliate you, we have to look at why you freeze. You might have seen those videos on social media telling you to use that clever lines to completely destroy a toxic person. They sound amazing when you're scrolling on your phone in the comfort of your room. But when it's actually happening to you, when it's real people, real eyes staring at you, and silence hanging over the dinner table, your mind goes completely blank. Why? Because when a public humiliation hits, your brain does not hand you a menu of clever options. Your brain sounds an absolute survival alarm. Research shows that public humiliation activates the exact same neural networks in the brain as actual physical pain. Your cortisol levels spike instantly and your heart rate skyrockets. That critical remark is perceived by your nervous system as an immediate threat to your self-worth. When someone hurts you, your brain is too shocked to think of a smart reply. If you want to deal with humiliation well, you can't rely on quick replies. You first need to calm your emotional reaction, then respond in a clear and controlled way instead of reacting on impulse. First, one tactic: the return to sender. This first tactic is designed for a very specific moment, when you need to completely shift the heavy, awkward energy off yourself and place it directly onto them. So when they drop the insult and the room laughs, your natural reflex is going to be to defend yourself or laugh along with them. Please do not do that. Don't explain it away, and do not play their game. Instead, look at them with total emotional detachment. Let the silence hang for 1 single second, and then calmly look them in the eye and say, "What was the purpose of that comment?" Or you can say, "Could you elaborate on that? I want to make sure I understand what you're trying to say." And the reason this response completely traps them comes down to basic human psychology. Think about the bully's goal here. They wanted a quick, cheap laugh at your expense. They programmed a very specific script in their head. They insult you, you get flustered, the room laughs, and they win. Now let's change that. When you stay completely calm and throw a question back at them, you totally shatter their script. You're refusing to absorb the embarrassment. By forcing them to explain their toxic comment in front of a live audience, you create an instant trap. They now have only 2 choices, and both of them are deeply humiliating for them. Either they have to openly admit to the whole table that they were just being mean, or they have to awkwardly backpedal and say, "Oh, come on, it was just a joke." The exact second they stutter, you win. You have successfully made the conversation heavy for them while you stay entirely clean. The second one, the boundary draw. This tactic is your ultimate weapon for when someone tries to disguise their malice as helpful advice or constructive criticism. This is the favourite weapon of toxic family members or insecure colleagues. They say things like, "I'm just saying you could be doing better in your career," or "I'm just worried about how much you eat." When they say that, just know it's not advice. It is a calculated, unprovoked attack meant to lower your social value in front of the group. When you recognise this happening, you do not argue with the details of what they said. You don't take the bait, you draw a sharp boundary. Look them dead in the eye and ask, "Did I ask for your opinion?" Or, if you want a version that is slightly softer, you can say, "I don't recall asking for feedback on my life, but thank you." This works so incredibly well because it immediately pulls back the curtain on their hidden agenda. It shifts the entire focus of the room away from your life choices and shines a massive spotlight right onto their bad manners. Notice what you are doing here. You aren't defending your job, your relationship, or your weight. You're completely bypassing the criticism itself and questioning their right to voice it in the first place. This sets a powerful, authoritative boundary. It loudly signals to the bully and to every single person watching at that table that your life choices aren't up for discussion, and their uninvited feedback is completely worthless. Third one, disarm them with your kindness. Now let's talk about a completely different approach, because sometimes fighting back is the wrong move entirely. Think about where this happens: a corporate dinner, a family gathering, or maybe a birthday party. Somewhere with an audience, somewhere where if you snap back, suddenly you're the problem. Suddenly you're the one who made things uncomfortable. That's exactly what they're counting on. They poke you in public because they know social pressure will keep you quiet. So you don't fight. You don't defend yourself. You do something they are completely unprepared for. You get concerned about them. Here's how it works. When they drop that sharp remark, the one designed to make you look small in front of everyone, you don't react with anger. You react with calm. You soften your face. You look at them almost like you're looking at someone who just said something worrying. And you say, "Are you okay? You seem really stressed tonight," to say something like that. Or, "Everything all right at home?" That felt unusually bitter coming from you. Watch what happens in that room, because the second you say that, the dynamic completely changes. They came in swinging, expecting you to either crumble or fight back. Instead, you looked at them like they need help. And now everyone at that table is processing the same thing you just implied, without ever stating it directly. Something must be really wrong with them to say that. Here's the truth underneath this tactic. People who are genuinely happy, people who feel good about their lives, their relationships, themselves, they don't use dinner tables to tear others down. They just don't. So when someone does that, when someone chooses a social gathering to take a shot at you, they are telling on themselves. They are showing the room exactly where they are emotionally. This next tactic, the smirk strategy. When they make the comment, look them directly in the eyes. You hold that eye contact and you let a very small, quiet smirk appear on your lips. Now be very careful here. This is not a big laugh. And it is not a big, sarcastic grin. If you do a big grin, it might look like you are trying too hard, or it might make them angry and cause them to attack you even more. You don't want to make things worse. Instead, it is a tiny knowing expression. It is just enough to show them three things. You heard what they said, you are completely calm, and you are choosing not to give their comment any energy. Your eyes look at them like you are watching someone make an embarrassing mistake. When you try this strategy, you will realize the truth about this person. They only threw that jab at you because they feel bad about themselves and need to hurt you just to feel better. You almost feel sorry for them. Your silence and your tiny smirk say one clear thing. I'm not going to give you the reaction you are looking for. When you refuse to get angry or upset, you take away all their fun. You show them that they have absolutely zero power over your feelings. Then you simply turn your head away and continue your dinner. This last tactic is the most emotionally mature one on this list. And it's not about being clever, it's about being honest in a way that cuts straight through. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply tell the truth about what just happened. Out loud, calmly, and in front of everyone. You look at them and you say, "I'm curious, what do you actually gain by trying to embarrass me in front of everyone right now?" Or you say, "That was a pretty low to humiliate me at dinner, in front of everyone. I thought we were all here to have a good time." Just the plain, honest reality of what they did, named clearly for the whole room to hear. And here's why it's harder for them. When you fight back with a sharp line, they can work with that. They can escalate, deflect, turn it into a back and forth. But when you calmly name exactly what they did, their strategy falls apart. Because you just called it by its real name and out loud for everyone to hear it. But here's the thing. When someone humiliates you in a group, don't wait for someone to step in. People might feel uncomfortable. They might privately think what just happened was wrong. They might even stand up to that rude person. But also in that moment, most of them will stay quiet. Not because they agree with what was said, but because speaking up feels risky. Nobody wants to be the one who made things awkward. So they adjust. They might laugh, or they look away and tell themselves it wasn't that serious. That's just how groups work under social pressure. And the person attacking you knows it. So don't rely on anyone else in that moment. You are the only one who's going to handle this. And the way you handle it is by naming it directly. Because here's what changes when you do that. The moment you say out loud what just happened, calmly, without drama, you move it out of the emotional space and into the visible one. Before you spoke, it was just a feeling in the room. Uncomfortable but unaddressed. The second you name it, it becomes a behaviour, something concrete that everyone now has to look at and decide what they think about it. That's the strategy, just the truth, said clearly at the right moment. So as you can see, dealing with humiliation doesn't start with the perfect response. It starts with that split second before you say anything. So before you use any of these tactics, pause. Don't react instantly. Take a breath. Keep your chin up. Give yourself the space to actually choose how you respond. So go back through these responses, save them on your phone so you can access them easily. If you found value in this video, let me know in the comments which one of this would you use first and who would you use it on, and hit subscribe to Healthy Mind CEO